This is a production of the Gold Arrow Podcast Network. Hello and welcome to the Gold Arrow Camp Pogcast, a podcast for friends of Gold Arrow Camp. Throughout the year, we'll be joining you to bring your day some of what makes Gold Arrow special. Our goal is to help you have fun, make friends, and grow throughout the year, not just when you're at GAC. Since we can't get together in real life, we gather here around the virtual campfire. We have some of your favorite parts of morning assembly, like Joke of the Day. We also have interviews with experienced campers and some of your favorite counselors. We think it's a lot of fun, and we're glad you joined us. This is episode 25, where we're joined by a former camper and current staff member. Her full name is Daenerys Stormborn of the House Wrangler, first of her name, the Unburnt, because she uses sunscreen, Queen of the Andals and First Men, feeder of horses and mother of s'mores. We just call her Khaleesi. This episode, we had our first opportunity in 2 seasons to talk to a wrangler. And it's really fun because horses are such a stereotypically summer camp thing, and the horse program has been around at Gold Arrow Camp since the Manny Veazey era, so it's really fun to talk to somebody about horses. This is especially true because I don't have any horse experience personally other than what I got at camp. Khaleesi's also a nursing student, and she has some really awesome insight into how being at camp prepared her for nursing school. When I asked her that question, I thought I would know what the answer was, and her answer was a total surprise to me, and it was really fun to hear that. Speaking of hearing, hey, that's a really good segue, people. It's time for you to hear me play some guitar. Welcome to the podcast, Khaleesi.
It's great to be here, Soy. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. Do you know, I believe you're the first wrangler we've had on the show.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think.
Okay, well, I'm excited to talk about the horses, talk about camp. Yeah, I love camp.
So much good stuff to chat about. So not everybody knows you yet. So if you could you kind of tell us kind of who you are, where you're from, what you do now, what you do at camp, how you got to camp. There's a long biography there, so kind of fill in the blanks for us.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Khaleesi. This past summer was my 6th summer at GAC. However, it was my first as a counselor, so I was fortunate to come as a camper for 5 years. And with camp, I just knew I wanted to return, so I kind of found out how and realized I could be a wrangler. And with working with horses at home in Colorado, I knew it was right up my alley, so that's how I came back to camp as a wrangler.
I think, let's talk about being a wrangler, because for me personally, that's a job that I would have a really hard time doing, I think. What's the most, when you talk to people who aren't wranglers, and that's the vast majority of people, what's kind of like the most surprising thing about working with the horses for people, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. At camp, there are so many unique activities, from rocks and ropes to the waterfront. But with horses, the most special part about it is that you're working with a living animal. And Sure. That's the really special part about it because, it's not like, our equipment's living. So in so many ways, there's so much bonding that occurs between horses and people, especially seeing, the campers being able to work with the horses. Overcoming fear is a huge part of horses too, like so many other activities at GAC. But that's also what makes working as a wrangler so rewarding, is because kids who are scared of horses or have no idea how to work with them are interacting with them for the first time with us. And it's just great to see how far they come just in a couple of short weeks, honestly.
It's interesting to me because you talked about bonding. Are you talking about bonding with the horses? Because I know that they're all like kind of unique personality driven creatures.
Completely. Yeah, that's what's great about horses, is that they all have such unique personalities. They're all so, they're so great. They're so amazing. They're sweet, gentle. And it's funny because working with them for 10 weeks over the summer, you really get to learn a lot about each of their personalities, like you were saying. Some of them that were more wrangler horses, we, kept to us. But with the keeper horses, it's just so special to see them kind of grow throughout the summer.
I know that like some of the horses are sneaky. Like Chow is sneaky.
Oh my gosh. Well, Chow just is sneaky when it comes to food. Like on the trail, we have this really grassy part that we walk through, and we have to warn the kids, hey, there's a grassy part on the trail that some of the horses really like to gobble up. So just make sure, you're not letting them take advantage, because that's how they can be kind of sneaky. They sometimes try to, get away with stuff that.
Well, and I can remember in the past when I had to help tack, and like Chow leans on you. Like she's like,
Yeah, as long as she's not stepping on you, right?
Yeah, she's sneaky. And I think
she is
like for me, because I grew up totally away from like horses were something that were in the movies, and so when I first came to camp and people were like, "Oh yeah, the horses have like super personalities," like no, a horse can't. And then I was like, "Oh no, I get it." Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and getting to learn those over the summer was just such a great aspect of working with horses for a long period of time.
What's the best part about working with horses?
My personal favorite part of working with horses is the free time. I think the free time activity is where we get a group of campers that are really dedicated to the horses, that really want to be there and grow and improve their skills, from tacking to grooming and especially riding too. And probably my favorite part free time is the vaulting.
Sure.
I was able to learn a lot about vaulting this summer, and it's something we've never had at camp before, or at least
it's been
I don't remember from being a camper. But vaulting is just a really fun, for those of you who don't know, it's kind of like gymnastics on horses. Mm-hmm. We have a special saddle with a special set of reins and stuff. And it gives campers the opportunity to practice standing on a horse while they're walking, even doing some of these kind of yoga moves while the horse is kind of going in a circle. And that was really fun for me to not only learn, but also to be able to teach at the end of the summer too.
And I think from what I could tell, it was super popular with campers because it kind of offered a new challenge for kids who already kind of could ride.
Absolutely. That was something we saw too. Not only are kids that are a little bit more experienced coming down to horses to learn how to ride, but like you said, the vaulting is a really special part too, because like you said, it's something that they've never done before, and it's a new challenge that offers a lot of growth for campers as they see this challenge for the first time. For
sure. So thinking about all of the horses down there in the corral hanging out, I promise I won't tell the horses, but who's your favorite horse?
My favorite horse was Goldie. She's a picture perfect Barbie Palomino with a little bit of spunk.
Sure. I think that's a fair way to describe it.
She was really great, very attentive. That's what made her a great horse at the leader position. And I really felt like I could trust her if something were to go wrong on the trail. I could get off easily, and had a good time learning about her personality a lot.
Okay. So Goldie's the favorite. So we'll keep an eye out on that next year. Make sure she doesn't get that preferential treatment. Extra carrots. No, I see.
Make sure she comes back to camp.
Yeah. I'll talk to Larry. I'll put in a good word.
Yeah.
So you're back in the real world, and we were talking a little bit before we started recording. You're in nursing school now?
I am. Yeah. Nursing school at University of Kansas Medical School.
Which is like, so now you're in the hospital doing actual kind of hands-on practical things, right?
Yes. Oh gosh, yes.
and I've never been to nursing school, but I've heard from you and from others that it's a fairly challenging endeavor.
So challenging. It was something that I knew it was coming, but not to this extent.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm working a lot of long, late hours, and definitely experiencing a lot for my first semester in the hospital working with real patients.
So is there anything you can take kind of from your time at camp that's applicable while you're in nursing school?
Definitely. So many things. I think one of the probably popular answers that you've heard on the pod a lot is just the overwhelming positivity that camp brings into your life, and how you can bring that into the real world after you leave camp, because camp is just such a glowing place with so much positivity where everybody around you wants the best for you and is always kind of that light if you're feeling down. But I think with the theme of the energy bus this past summer and focusing on that positivity, that was a great thing for me to carry into the real world as I kind of navigate nursing school and Another thing so I have two things, I guess. The really powerful connections that you make at camp.
Sure.
I'm thinking the fact that I try to seek that out here, like that face-to-face connection, that is really special about camp. I'm thinking about like the evening campfires where you really start to kind of break down walls and understand people for who they are. And that's a huge part of nursing too, is having that empathy with people.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Trying to understand, where they come from and, doing everything you can to see things in their perspective and therefore how you can help them best, understanding that part of their life.
Okay. Now that you're in nursing school and you think about kind of the nurses that we have at camp, and we have a lot of nurses that have come for a long time, has it changed your perspective on what the nurses do at camp at all?
For sure. And I think, the nurses at camp are just so incredible because you have to be great with kids to work at a camp with kids. And although I haven't had any like pediatric experience in the hospital, I know that coming from camp and a daily basis will really set me up if I want to do that in the future.
Yeah,
but
I would think so.
The camp nurses are just so great because a lot of times if kids get hurt at camp, it really brings them down. But I think the camp nurses are so great about not only taking care of their like physical needs, but also emotionally building them back up and making sure that they, leave the wellness center with a positive mindset, with the opportunity to go back into camp and not be afraid of the activities. I think that's what they're really great about.
I would agree. I don't think they get the credit they deserve, honestly, a lot of days.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So you were a camper for 5 years.
Yep, that's correct.
And so what advice would you have for campers as they're kind of at school or at home and they want to capture some of what makes camp kind of special? What can they do at home to make their regular life a little bit more like camp, do you think?
Yeah, so I think some of the things that are most special about camp are the really intimate connections that you can have with friends, with staff, with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think seeking out those relationships and being, proactive with going to find friends, to seek activities that push you out of your comfort zone, staying involved socially. I think that is just such a great part of camp that can be easily brought into school, into extracurricular activities, hobbies, any interests that campers have. I think that's a great way to kind of keep camp with you as you are in school.
Yeah, I interviewed a former camper for a counseling job recently, and we kind of talking about how it's because he's a freshman at college, and we were talking about how's it going. He said, "Listen, it's gone so much more smoothly for me than for people who I went to high school with, because I got to college and nobody was like, hey, you should make a friend. I just started talking to people, and it was a thing that I learned how to do at camp. And I was like, I need to meet some people. And so I just introduced myself, and he's like, the guys on my hall thought I was nuts for like 3 days because I just wander in and like, hey, how's it going? Here's who I am. But I think
camp is really special about that because they're great about teaching you how to, step out of your comfort zone,
mm-hmm.
talk to people that you've never met, and eventually walk away weeks later, meeting a friend that you may have for the rest of your life.
Sure.
I know that's for sure been my experience as a former camper, is that, camp just gives you the opportunity to meet people that you are in contact with forever.
Agreed.
So I totally agree that, with camp and their perspective on making friends, have fun, make friends, grow. That's camp's philosophy. It's such a great life lesson to be able to go out into the world and like you said, meet people and not hold back, not be afraid.
It just bombs away. Well, I think that's, it's our theme. I don't know if you caught that because you've been super busy, but our theme this year is find a friend. Like we're gonna
really,
yeah,
that's awesome.
You're gonna laser in on friendship skills. Pretty excited. Okay. I think it's gonna be really good.
That is going to be awesome because it's just such a skill that's so applicable for your entire life.
Well, I think it's interesting. I think Sunshine and I were talking about it, that there's not a place in schools where that's taught. Like teachers don't often sit down and say, here's how you make a friend. They're just kind of like, go make friends. And it's a real skill that you need to practice to be good at it. And I think It's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. They don't really teach that in school, and it's something that, you either got it or you kind of don't unless you have this guidance type thing.
Yeah, and it's not like it's hard, but somebody has to tell you how to do it.
Yeah, totally.
And so
I think as a former camper, that was just such a great part of camp that helped me to be able to make friends in the real world too. So
agreed. All right, Khaleesi, it's time for the speed round. Here we go.
Okay.
At camp, what's your favorite repeat after me song?
The Princess Pat.
Yes. It's your favorite
but however,
item.
I need to put a footnote for the choreographed songs too, because Move Your Body has got my heart.
Yes. It starts with your toes.
That's right.
What's your favorite item on the salad bar?
I think the beets are my favorite.
You and me both. Bean doesn't like beets. She says they taste like dirt.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, unpopular, but
yeah, that's fine. I like them. I'm not going to yuck her yum. That's more for us. Favorite lip balm flavor?
This year, my favorite was Archery Apple.
It's a big favorite this year. Do you find that for some reason the Gold Arrow lip balm is very hard to lose?
Well, yes and no. I lost a couple this summer.
Okay. I lose them in the summer, and as soon as I get home, I lose every other kind of lip balm, except I got a tiller towards tangerine that won't disappear.
Right. Of course. They're the special. You always have your eye on them, right?
It must be. Mallows or popcorn around the campfire?
Personally, mallows. There's nothing better than a campfire mallow. Come on.
There's a choir, and you're preaching directly to it. And finally, Khaleesi, what's your real name?
My real name is...
Oh, look at that. We're all out of time. We'll have to have Khaleesi back on the program. We'll start with that next time. Next time, that'll be the first question. Khaleesi, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks so much, Soy. It was really fun.
It was.
Why is it called Joke of the Day if it's not funny?
We've recently gotten some really much needed rain here in California, and I was out walking after a storm the other day, and I got to thinking, what do you call something that's both colorful and smart? A brainbow. And now, it's time for another Gaxpiration with Sunshine. Today's Gaxpiration comes from former First Lady of the United States, Eleanor Roosevelt. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. And that brings us to the end of this episode, the 25th episode of the GAC Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to bensounds.net. They provide our intro and outro music, all the music in the middle. Thanks especially to Khaleesi this week for joining us, taking time out of her busy study schedule to chat with us about horses and camp. And thanks to you for listening. Really appreciate it if you could rate and review on iTunes. Really appreciate it if you could share this with your friends. Maybe you have somebody who might benefit from listening to us talk about all the good that camp does. Well, we're all out of time. I'm Soy, and I'll save a marshmallow for you.